or at least took them over. The founder of the Seleucid dynasty, his father was called Antiochus, or Antiochus, however you want to pronounce that word. And he named every city in Syria just about after him. So we have around 5 different Antiochs in Syria, and that's what people don't realize. In order to know this, you have to read a book like Strabo, Strabo's Geography, which was a book written in the 20 BC period or so. Josephus mentions him. He wrote a geography, and he says Edessa was originally called Antioch. He says it completely. And then his book was later picked up by Pliny, who is the Roman geographer, who basically works his work on Strabo. And Pliny is writing at the time around, well, really when Pompeii is buried, because he's caught in that eruption, and I think he's killed in that eruption. Pliny the Elder is killed. Pliny the Younger continues; his son continues, but the Elder, I think, is killed in the eruption of Vesuvius. At least he describes it. I'm not sure he's killed, but he describes what it was like. It was perfectly horrendous. He describes everyone along the seacoast hiding from the ash and then going across the Bay of Naples and stuff like that. So Pliny the Elder wrote around that period there. And he is the one responsible for a geography, where he absorbs a lot from Strabo. And he also makes it clear that Edessa was originally called Antioch. So you see, when we talk about Antioch, we just assume it's the Antioch that is left now that we're all familiar with. But I have a map in the back of that James book. Let me see that book a moment. Thanks a lot. If I can find this book here. Let's see. I've got my genealogies here are pretty good. The Maccabeans, the Herodians. And then here we are. Here's a map, you see. And here we have, I don't know if I've got them listed. Maybe not this. Here's Edessa here. I say Antioch, Antiochia. Haran, Abraham's city, is right next to it. There were more Antiochs. Here's Antioch in Syria on the coast, you see. But there was also, and I have a better map, here's an Antioch down here, present-day Basra. We talk about the Shiites down in Basra. That was called Antiochia Charai or something like that. Let me see if I've got a better one here. Here, this is a better one here. Here, for instance, is Antioch of Pisidia here in Asia Minor. Here is Antioch Orho, which is Edessa. Here is Antioch Charax down here, which is Basra today. Here is Antiochs on the Oronte over here. So even on this map, I've got 4 different Antiochs. And the reason is that the Syrian founder of the Seleucid dynasty was honoring his father. So, though most people are not aware of it, and that's no proof that I'm right, it seems to me, as this young lady will probably attest, that everything was happening in Edessa, where she comes from, and nothing was happening in Antioch on the coastline. There was nothing significant happening there. And that's why, and by the way, the Crusaders also ultimately went to this Edessa. It was one of their first targets, and they took it over. And it was very important to the Byzantines as well. And that's where, by the way, the Holy Shroud was supposed to have originally come from. Whether the Holy Shroud is authentic or not, I've seen lots of TV programs about it, but it's certainly a relic that everyone's heard about. And it's been around for quite a while, but the trace of it, if it is authentic, goes all the way back to something that was all in Antioch in the 300s. And then you can trace this because it went to, it was taken to Constantinople after a certain amount of time, and it was on display in, I think, Santa Sofia in Constantinople, but it was folded up so that you only saw the face of the supposed Messiah. And I don't know if this is our Holy Grail or not, but when Byzantium, as it was later called, or later called, Constantinople was sacked by the Crusaders. You say, what? They sacked Constantinople? Yeah, they felt it was too difficult to go fight the Muslims, so they thought they'd go fight the Eastern Christians instead. And the Venetians were very assiduous in the Fourth Crusade, this was, of taking the knights on their boats, and they didn't land them on the coastline in the Palestine, Lebanon, but they landed them next to Constantinople, and the Crusaders, well, they were willing to go and assault anything you put them in front of. So, oh, this is the place we're supposed to assault? Let's go assault this place. So they assaulted and sacked Constantinople and totally ruined it, but the Venetians were happy because they were in a mercantile competition with the Byzantines. And they got the benefit of all the spoils. A lot of that was taken to St. Mark's in Venice. And this thing that was known as, by this time, as the Mandelium, which was on display, the theory is it was taken west by these knights. I think that's how you, I probably have spelled it wrong, but something like that. And it ended up in a French family. Whether I saw a recent thing that said Da Vinci, because of the Da Vinci Code interest, actually copied it, and it wasn't really a what you have now. Da Vinci was serving this family, and he helped reproduce what we have now, a more authentic looking body and so on with Da Vinci's face on it, which may or may not be true. It makes a lot of sense, that theory. In any case, this story here, you see, is the story of a painting of Jesus that was sent to the ruler of Edessa. That's what this story is about. Some of you are looking totally befuddled. I mean, have you read this? I hope you have. And this is a very important story. This is one of the first converts out of Palestine. And this king, called here Agabus, or Abgarus. In your translation, you have Abgarus or Agabus. Ours, we have Agabus, but what do you have in the Penguin? Probably Abgarus. They like to be more professional. Yeah. Depends, but this guy, I think, is taking it off a Latin translation, and therefore I think it was Akbarus, actually, in the Latin. Abgarus would be the Semitic way of spelling it, but Agbarus or Akbarus probably is how it went into the Greek and Latin. In any event, there are two different ways of pronouncing it. Semitic names